Charisma Quotient. I'm your host, Kim Seltzer, a dating and makeover expert, where I will help you build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. I'm back doing another episode of Where Are They Now? And for those of you who hadn't heard the first episodes of these series, I'm going to recap. So, as you know, I coach a lot of people. And of course, you've heard me coaching people live on this podcast with my Coaching with Kimmy episodes. But I also have a ton of clients who I send off into the world after coaching with them. And it's so amazing and wonderful and rewarding when I hear countless success stories and read thousands of emails of previous clients updating me on how their life has improved and often how they found love. So I do these Where Are They Now episodes to inspire and motivate you by hearing what happens to people after I work with them. And that could be whether on a podcast or just working with them over time as clients or in the various programs that I have. I hope you listen to these and get inspired by people's successes and know that success can happen to you too. And it all really starts with not only a call with me, but the desire to change. So today I bring on this beautiful woman, Pearl, who decided to coach with me after attending one of my virtual workshops. And she recognized that she needed some help in getting back out there after a divorce. And Pearl did have a narcissistic marriage. She had done a lot of therapy, working on that and getting over that and other programs, yet she still found herself stuck and almost frozen when it came to trying to date again. So she experienced a lot of anxiety. She talked about feeling invisible a lot. She would go out with her friends and she felt like everybody was getting more attention or more comfortable being out there than she was. And her social life really wasn't, for a single woman, as beautiful as she was, it just wasn't what it should have been. And certainly she had no idea how to flirt. I remember her saying to me, "What is that?" And she felt scared, closed off, and knew that she was also kind of guarded with her feelings. Pearl was definitely a caretaker and never really learned to state her feelings and express what she wanted. Well, until we started working together. And when we started working together privately, and she did my Kimmy's Love Hub program. I also did some phone coaching with her. I was helping Pearl practice just dating without getting attached, dating for the sake of just getting to know herself and standing up for herself and really seeing her own self-worth. And she did find that her sexy confidence was improving, even though she didn't really know how to flirt. She was learning the art of that through the various workshops that she did. And she did change up her wardrobe. I remember her getting into taking the pictures. And she learned to lead with more of an emotional connection as well, which was huge for her, and understanding what she wanted versus what the man wanted. This was a big breakthrough for her. I remember that. And through a lot of the dating scenarios and her practicing all this stuff, helping her get out of her head, she eventually met an amazing man who she is extremely happy with and very different than any other man she has dated before. So, in fact, she said before working together, she probably wouldn't have even given him a chance. So I'll let her tell you the rest. Welcome, Pearl. Are you there?
I'm here.
There you are. It was like the drum was rolling until you got on here. Oh my God. Pearl, do you remember that woman that I described?
Yes, and when you were talking, it kind of brought a little bit of a tear to my eye because you just explained it so well. It was
Oh,
spot on.
and I told you this off air. It was so touching for me to read back in my notes because I hardly remembered her too, because you've done so much work and really getting through a lot of these challenges that you had. It's almost like irrecognizable. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you see how beautiful and relaxed you are, from where you were, where there was so much anxiety. But anyway, yeah, I would love for you to, I mean, obviously I recapped, but I would love to hear from your memory at least what life was like before we started working together.
Well, I knew that I wanted some help in this direction. I just didn't really know where to find it. And I think that the action piece just wasn't there for me for so long, just coming out of that marriage and then how long it took to get the divorce. I just felt like I had so much trauma and, that feeling of just wanting to work on your inner self and thinking, okay, that's enough. And I know that's part of your story too, was really working on the inner stuff and then saying, oh, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. People would ask, like, are you dating? And like, no, I'm just not ready. I definitely had this wall up for a long time. It's been 3 years since my divorce. And it just felt like I could never get that wall down.
Mm.
Um, and I think it was until I started taking some action where I joined Events and Adventures. And then I saw your video and joined the workshop that you did. And that's when I knew I had to take action and our call went so well. So it felt really good for me to just go in a different direction because for so long I've just kind of felt bad about myself and wanted to change things. And really, I didn't realize that it's like all of these learned things. I kind of thought, oh, you either have it or you don't. That's kind of what my thought process was. And, I have a lot of like self criticism and stuff. So my inner talk would be like, oh, you just don't have it.
Mm.
And that was, a story I was telling myself that really wasn't true. And to join your workshop and kind of realize, oh, these are all skills that you can learn. That was like really eye-opening to me. And even with like the makeover when in the beginning I was like, oh, I don't need help with that. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. And then once we did the makeover, I was like, oh, wow, this is really amazing because this is teaching me how to dress for my body type. I had no idea. And I had no idea that all these prints that I have are not really what men like, or not that they don't like it, but it's not as attractive as like solid colors and more colorful things and all those little tips and tricks on image that was just so eye-opening for me that I've never really paid attention to was so helpful. And that just made me feel good, um, dressing more for my body type and in colors and made me feel more confident when I went out. Just, to the grocery store, I started wearing things that I normally wouldn't wear. And, I got approached the grocery store, which I didn't think would ever happen to me ever in my life. Um, Gave out my phone number a couple times. So I could definitely see so many things changing just from taking your advice and doing all the things that you have kind of mapped out for me. So
It was really beautiful to watch. Yeah. And I, going back kind of in time when you were in that place where you were just feeling stuck, like what were some of the things do you remember that was like keeping you stuck where you weren't taking action?
I think it's just from having being married for so long and having so much trauma at the end with like the infidelity and all of the rejection and betrayal. It was so painful for me that I just thought, I don't ever want to feel this way again. I don't ever even want to put myself out there because this could happen to me again. And I felt broken. I felt like I didn't have a very good picker.
Mm.
When I look back at some of my older relationships, even before my marriage, they were similar narcissistic relationships. And I feel like I tended to attract men that just weren't in for a quality relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So it was scary. So I just felt almost like more comfortable being alone in a way, but then at the same time, I know that I want more and I want a companion, and I was really lonely. I was feeling really lonely.
I so remember that. And, and thank you for sharing that, by the way, because I'm sure there are people listening who can relate so much, especially when you've been through trauma. And it was like that. I remember talking to you about this. It was like that tug of war you were having. It's like you wanted something different. You wanted to break that habit and see like a different kind of guy, but yet you still had this kind of limiting belief that you could attract that or that you could have that, or somehow it was like something about you that couldn't change. I think to me that has been one of the most beautiful things to have you shift is I think you were like your self-worth, that you were just kind of beat up, like with yourself, and how you took that, when you took action to change that whole entire mindset about yourself, that belief in yourself. And that's when things started really unraveling and happening for you. So I really appreciate that. And the thing too with the fear is like, you wanted what you feared and you feared what you wanted, and then that kept you kind of stuck. And I think so many people, really relate to that. Um Talk to me also about your dating life prior, or the lack thereof, because I think that's really important too.
Prior to,
Prior to, like, doing this process together, because like, you never really dated, right? Like,
yeah, no,
right.
I never really dated. I was with my ex-husband. I was married for 16 years, with him for 20. So, the last relationships I had were in my early 20s. And it didn't really feel like dating because it wasn't like an intentional type dating. It was just kind of like, okay, you see, meet someone, mutual friends or at a bar or whatever. And it's like you don't have those conversations of anything more meaningful. So,
Right.
so it wasn't really, I don't feel like I ever have really dated.
And
It,
to me, that was so crucial, right? Like, just to learn about dating for the sake of dating and getting to know yourself, and seeing your self-worth too, because you, I think, put so much emphasis on the guys. That's why you kept attracting kind of the narcissistic or lopsided type of relationships. So that was huge. Um, yeah, I have a memory. I'll never forget this. I don't know if you remember this, because I was working with a client in Vegas when you had texted me in the beginning, and you were having, remember that you were having like all this anxiety about like there was someone you met online and what should you do, and I mean, Pearl, you had so much anxiety, and it spoke to kind of like the lack of experience that you had with just like dating. You
yeah.
want to talk a little bit about that too, because I think that was also a learning curve.
Oh, yes. I went on a lot of dates, but in the beginning, I had so much anxiety because I just didn't really know how to act. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know, what to talk about. It was so hard for me just to even to do that. And then it was like, the more I did it, the easier it became. So that was nice. It was the lack of experience for sure that gave me the anxiety and just like the fear of the unknown. And it was more just like, just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it.
Mhm.
um, but it was hard for me because I would get in my head about future projecting, or, is this the one kind of thing on the first date. I would be in my head so much. And that's kind of how I tend to be, is very much in my head, analyzing everything. So I remember you coaching me on, okay, this doesn't have to be your boyfriend.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember even sending you a text saying, just pretend that you're on like a play date, right? Like you're just having, kind of an encounter, and you're just getting to know that person, and don't think beyond that. And I was so proud of you that you like kept it going, because I know it was really hard in the beginning, but to your point, I think the more you practice, the more you just saw that, hey, this could be fun. And you don't have to have all these expectations around every single encounter, which was also huge for you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It was tough, especially just being an introvert. And I'm sure like so many people that have you coach them. But for me, it feels painful to get out and go on these dates. It takes a lot of energy out of me. So it after I had like the makeover part, it was a lot more fun because then I was like, oh, I get to wear this cute outfit I just bought and look pretty. And I thought that made it more fun for me.
I
So
love that. We'll talk more about that. So then right, we started doing this process together. You had the makeover. And what were some other things that really helped you along the way?
definitely when you what you were talking about with getting in the mindset of, okay, this is not my boyfriend, you know, this, I'm getting to know this person. This, you know, this could be a friend, and having those like different buckets that we kind of went over, which is like, okay, he could be in a friend bucket, or even though that's uncomfortable for me because I don't only have like fear of rejection, but I also fear rejecting somebody. So when I didn't have attraction to men, it was really hard for me to express to them that there wasn't chemistry or putting them in a friend bucket. But I got good at it. I started doing that instead of just, I think before when I was online dating, just a little bit, not much, but um, I had just had no contact, you know, like would just ghost them, which is, I don't want to do that. I don't want someone to do that to me. So I learned to talk to them in a respectful way of like, okay, you know, this isn't feeling like a connection. Good luck. Like things, even if they took it well or not, I still did it. And I think that was part of me just speaking up for myself and expressing my feelings. So that was really great. That was so helpful. And then all of the other little tricks that you gave me is with like the data collecting when I did go on dates, and I would write, you know, score their intelligence, their physical, the attraction, and I forget what the other ones were. It was emotional intelligence,
Yeah, the emotion, yeah, and spiritual.
exploring those and then kind of being aware of that for the second date and the third date. And so I did that, and that was really helpful. I felt like once I started doing that, I started kind of attracting different types of men that were more, because it was like, then I realized, oh, I want higher on this emotional level. And then it was like all of a sudden I started a couple, you know, a couple more dates. It was like, then it was kind of scaling that way in a way, which was great. And had the physical, and I was like, oh, this is working.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because it relates to what I was recapping in the beginning about you being more vulnerable and you learning how to like express yourself. I know that that was also a new journey for you. You want to talk a little bit about that too?
Yeah, and it's still something I'm working on
Yeah,
a
right.
lot. Um, it's, you know, in my marriage, I didn't ever feel that I could express my feelings because when I did, I would just be shut down or gaslit about them. So I ended up just holding everything in and just having a lot of anger and resentment for it. Um, so it's a new thing for me to be able to express my feelings, and that's just something that's really important to me. But I want to, you know, do it in a way that's like receptive to the other person, and in a way that is is not in an angry way, in
Yeah.
like a supportive way and so far I've been able to do that with the new guy that I have been dating, which is amazing. So I think that it that's a breakthrough for me that I'm able to start doing that. And I still have doubts sometimes of like, oh, should I be thinking this? Should I be feeling this? Is this, you know, am I, you know, a broken person? Is there something wrong with me? And then I just, when that comes up, I just remind myself of like what I've gone through and how far I've come, and that my feelings are okay and
Mm.
that I'm okay. So I've been working on that a lot, and I love that I have come a long way since I think I've come a long way. So it's good.
And in my opinion, such a short amount of time. Like if you think about it, when you're a certain way, I mean, your whole life. I mean, some of these things were really just you've gotten comfortable being a certain way, right? Like it's just a habit that in this short amount of time, you've been able to break some of these habits. And I just want to like commend you, Pearl, because and I hope you listening can really hear this. Like you did the work. You were one of like my hardest working clients in the Kimmy's Love Hub. Like you were always present. You showed up with every workshop, and I could tell that you were doing every single like homework assignment because you would actually go back and I love my high achievers like you because like you allowed the high achiever to actually take over for the sake of bettering yourself, not for others, which you've been used to, or other things around you. And that was huge to see your own power too, because I think up until, you started working, like you really kind of chalked up everything to like, oh, well, you know, it's just the guys that are out there, or like it has to be a certain way. Like you didn't see how that you changing would change everything. And it really has, but it took work and that's not easy. So like kudos to you, congrats to you cuz look at where you are now. Like
Yeah.
it's really remarkable.
Yeah, thank you. And it was really scary. It was really scary for me to have that accountability for myself. But that's kind of what I had to do just to get myself out there because I had just so much resistance.
Oh my God. Well, it's like I say all the time, like no one changes in a state of comfort. The fact that it was uncomfortable meant that you needed to go towards it, not away from it. And the fact that you got through it, that's why you're feeling the results in such a positive way.
Yeah.
So, uh, well, so talk a little bit about, so yeah, I mean, kind of going for where you were dating up a storm, you were getting like comfortable just dating and getting to know yourself in a whole different way. And then this happened, this guy. So yeah, talk a little bit about what happened there.
Yeah. So, at first I didn't really have, any expectations. It was kind of like, okay, here we go again.
Yeah.
Goes. And, I I think the first date, I think I canceled on the first one because I wasn't in the right mind frame for the to meet him. And so I ended up texting him saying, "Hey, can we reschedule?" And then he had sent me a text back that was like, do you really want to reschedule? Or, are you not feeling this, are you not feeling like going out with me? Please let me know because, and it's okay either way, whatever you decide, but I'd rather know now than, which I totally respected. I thought, wow, okay, this guy's already being upfront and honest with like, telling me this that I
Yep.
like that, and I told him like, okay, I like that you told me this, but that really wasn't the reason, I promise. So I do want to meet with you. So when we met, we instantly connected with just kind of we talked a little bit about our past, but we were having fun. We didn't go into it too much, but we had some stories about our exes, which I thought was kind of fun because we could connect that way. We both were in narcissistic relationships. Not that that was the main thing, but that was a little part of it that made me feel like I connected to him a little bit. But I didn't know that I had the attraction for him at first. I wasn't really thinking that I did, but I wasn't sure.
I
So,
remember that, by the way. I remember you saying that to me. You're like, I don't know about physically, but he's such a good guy.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And so he definitely started to step up and kind of like make the plans and pick the places and kind of, take care of me. He'd open the doors. Like he's just very chivalrous and, I could tell that he's like more of a giver, which I like because I was probably more of the giver before and I'm trying to learn how to receive more. So I like that he's giving me that and I'm able to figure out how to receive. So I have to remind myself, okay, you can receive. This is okay to receive. Let
Yeah.
this happen. So I like that about him. And I think that after like the third date or so, we started to talk about some emotional things and he's very playful, has a playful side. So it was easy for me to have fun because he was playful, and also be playful back. So that was nice to be able to have someone where it was easier to flirt with. Um, then I didn't have to work so hard because it kind of came more natural. And and then that's when I realized, okay, I think I am attracted to this man. And
Uh-huh.
since then, he has been showing up so beautifully I mean, he picked me up at the airport at 2:30 in the morning when I came back from Seattle, like last month. I was like, oh my gosh, who does that? He walked into the terminal and got my bag. He didn't even just pick me up on the curb. He walked in, he set his alarm, came and got me. I was like, wow, okay, this
Oh,
is amazing. So he does a lot
so
of things like that, which make me really happy.
it's so I love what you said that now you're like almost getting used to what it's like to receive because when you haven't been in that place before, it almost feels weird or you're not sure whether you could trust it or not. And I think this part of your journey is so important because it sounds like you can really give to each other, which really is what relationships should be. Like that's the reciprocity, of two people in a healthy relationship. And um yeah, I think that well for me, and this is I don't know if you can even answer this honestly because it's almost hard to remember the Pearl that used to be. But do you think you would have given this guy a chance like, I don't know, 7 months ago, 8 months ago?
Definitely not. Because I probably would have just looked at him and thought, oh, he's not really my type, and I wouldn't probably be able to receive anything that he was able to give me.
So important. And the reason why you did now is why. What would you attribute it to?
Just because I've grown, I think,
Yes.
and now I want a new experience. I want something different. I want something on a deeper level that's beyond, you know, I don't know,
Yeah.
superficial looks and I mean, and he is good, very good looking. So, but yeah, I don't know. Just I think I am just in such a different place in my life now, even from 7 months ago.
100%. Well, I really wanted everyone to hear that. What you said is that you're different. Because I have so many people who come to me and be like, there's no good men out there. There's no good women out there. And really, like, we're our own reflection. Like if you don't see good men or good women out there, you have to take a look in the mirror. You have to look at yourself. And what you're saying is so true, is because you're different. You're seeing the world different. You're demanding something different. And therefore, you saw it. Otherwise, that opportunity would have been passed by 100% if you weren't in the space or place.
100%. Yeah, that's so true.
Oh my God. So then, and I love you giving this advice. What would you say to someone who was where you were at, like in that kind of state of fear, like wanting something different, but maybe they've done a lot of work. They don't know like how they can really see things different, or they're scared to even like take the leap to coach at all. Like what would you say to help them get over that fear?
I think just for me, it was just I was kind of felt like I was at rock bottom with my,
Yeah.
I was just so lonely and just feeling like so down on myself that I know that I had to get out of it with some sort of coaching. I just didn't know where to go. There's so many things offered out there, so many coaches, and it's overwhelming. So I think that was hard for me with the overwhelm, as and which direction to go because I was like feeling just lost. So it really helped that you just appeared for me. So that was nice. And I think it was just the action part,
Yeah.
because it was like I was in such a state of fear, and also that wall just so thick that I think once I started taking action and doing all the little exercises you had us doing, it's like that's when my confidence started growing, and things started to change for me. And then the experience part, like you said, getting out there and just actually doing it, and getting comfortable being uncomfortable. That was a big one
Yes.
for me because I'm the kind of person that's like, I just want to be safe and secure, and this is too uncomfortable, so I don't want to do it. So that was a big part, was that, and then getting all of these great tips and tools and all this psychology that you offer was so helpful for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
Pearl, I so adore you. I am so happy for you. And like you said, I mean, it's always every stage of a relationship, there's always work to be done. And we might default back to, things that we're like more comfortable with. But the thing that's great about you is because you did the work, you'll never go back to that woman that I described in the beginning of this episode, ever. I can guarantee you, and
Yeah.
so you do have the tools. And I know that you've helped a lot of people today just sharing your story and helping someone else who's in that stuck place. So thank you so, so much.
Thank you, Kimmy.
Our big hugs and to be continued.
Definitely.
Thank you. And thank you for joining me today, you listening. This has been the Charisma Quotient. I'm your host, of course, Kimmy Seltzer. And remember, you can build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. And if you want help overcoming your dating anxieties or fears that are keeping you stuck and put yourself out there, take advantage of the free private coaching call with me, like Pearl did, by just clicking on the link you see in the show notes. And it is so true what Pearl said. It can be overwhelming, but it could just start with a workshop. It could start with a call. And you never know how your life can change from just that. And who knows, maybe you might be the next success story like she was coming up on my podcast in months to come. And remember, working on you is working on your dating life. That's all for now.